How's it going, everybody? My name is Chase Keep and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over 15 tips for frugal living when it comes to groceries and cutting down on the amount that you spend every month on food. These are just some of the tips that I've actually used in my own life to get my food bill down to about $90 per month. That's what I've been spending over the course of the last year, and you guys can do the exact same thing. Some of the tips are strange and a little unconventional. I'm sure there are going to be people out there who aren't willing to adopt all of these tips, but that's totally okay. But if your goal is to save as much money as you possibly can, the very next time that you go to the grocery store, these tips will work for you. They will save you money. But with that, I have 15 money-saving tips to go over today. So let's just jump into this video and get started with tip number 1. The first of these tips that I'm going to be telling you guys today is already one of those unconventional ones, but basically, here's the tip. Plan out your entire trip to the grocery store, from how much time you're going to be there, all the way down to exactly which parts of the store you're going to go to. A lot of people go to the grocery store with their list of things that they need to buy, and they just kind of wander around and buy the things that they need, but also look at a bunch of other items. My advice is to flip this on its head entirely. Have your grocery list and know exactly where those items are located in the store, and plan your entire trip. Map out exactly where you're going to go so that you can get the items you need, avoid all the things that might tempt you, the foods that you don't need to buy, and then get out as quickly as possible. The main goal with this tip is to avoid impulse buys. Plan your trip so that you go from every item that you need to the next item that you need, and then get out of the store as quickly as possible. Spend as little time as you can looking at all of the items that you don't need, and just get out of there with your money as quickly as you can. So that's tip number 1, and tip number 2 is actually going to be to buy non-brand foods. And I know this one is kind of mainstream, a lot of people talk about this, but honestly, you can save so much money by avoiding the brand Kellogg cereal, for instance, and instead buying the great value, exact same version of that cereal. 99.9% of the time, you are not going to notice a difference in the quality between a non-brand and a brand product. All this does is save you some money, and again, that's exactly what every single one of the tips in this video is made for, to save you money. So just start avoiding those brand products, stick to the non-brand items, and I guarantee you will start saving some money on your very next grocery trip. Moving on quickly to the third tip of this video, I would advise everybody out there to try to base your meals around some type of non-perishable food item like rice or beans or pasta. Non-perishables are great because they can last for such a long time. So again, anytime that you can substitute a non-perishable food item in for a perishable food item, you're just going to save yourself some money over the course of the next few months, just in the long term. Tip number 4 is a pretty interesting one because it's actually something that I never would have agreed with a few years ago, and it might be a little controversial today. But basically, here's my tip. You don't need as much food as you think you do. This tip is something that has really come with experience and time. As I've been practicing frugal living habits over the course of the last few years, I've really realized that I just don't need as much food as I think I do. I can usually survive and just be comfortable and fine with less food than I think that I actually need. So sometimes I'll go to the grocery store and just buy fewer items than I normally do. And it's honestly just to practice this idea that I don't need the types of foods that I think I do, and therefore I'm saving some money. Anytime I go to the grocery store and I think I need a lot of food, I just remind myself, hey, I actually don't. I can survive with the things that I already have at home, so I'm not really forcing myself to waste or spend money on anything that I don't absolutely need. Something that happens all the time at grocery stores is you see foods that you kind of want. It's not that they're foods that you necessarily need, but you kind of want them, and you start to convince yourself that you want those foods, you need those foods. And right there is where this tip really comes into play. Remind yourself that you need less food than you really do, and try to live without those impulse buys, and sometimes even cutting out normal things of your diet, and see how you can survive without them. This tip is something that I've really learned with time and experience, so just see if it's something that you can implement in your life, but if not, it's totally fine. It will save you some money overall when you start to realize you don't need any of these wants, and you can really just stick to buying the foods that you just absolutely need. And moving on to tip number 5, I was really trying to think of a way to help you guys avoid impulse buying. As you probably know, impulse buys can really strain your finances and force you to spend more money than you actually ever wanted at the grocery store. So here's a frugal hack that has really worked for me. Anytime that you are tempted by some item at the grocery store, just mentally envision the receipt that you would have after buying that product. For me, sometimes I'm at Costco and I see these 4 packs of muffins, and the muffins are really good, but I don't actually need those muffins. I'm totally fine without them. So anytime that I'm tempted by the muffins, I imagine the receipt. I think about the muffins on there with all the other foods that I actually need, and I start to realize I don't need those muffins. That's just a want. I can live without them, so I'm not going to spend money on something that I don't need. That's kind of a waste of money, and that really helps me. It has always worked. Anytime that I'm tempted by some type of food, I imagine it on my receipt. So the next time you're at the grocery store and you are tempted by some impulse buy, try that tip out for yourself. And then another thing that I could also do, another tip for you guys, is to try to avoid buying foods that don't fit into any of your 3 big daily meals. You have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So anything that can fit into those meals is a snack, and that's what we're trying to cut down on here in this video, because snacks are something that most people don't actually need, and they can kind of just be a waste of money. Just as an example, I'm sure most people don't plan on including goldfish in any of their big 3 meals that they eat during the day. So go to the grocery store and just avoid buying goldfish. If you do buy it, it's just going to be sitting there tempting you to eat it throughout the day. And unless you're someone who loves snacking and that's kind of your eating habit, is to snack throughout the day, just try to avoid buying foods like that. It'll save you a lot of money. And we're moving on to tip number 7. This one's going to be give yourself a spending limit. Every single time that you go to the grocery store, try to give yourself a limit, a maximum number that you are going to spend on that trip. When you're walking in with your grocery list all laid out, try at the bottom to just put in a number. Say, I'm only going to spend $50 this week, or I'm only going to spend $150 this month, and just try your absolute best to stick to that spending limit. This is a great hack to start saving some money, because you can always just decrease that spending limit little by little until you physically can't spend any less. And so obviously that's a great way to start saving money. And another tip that is actually very similar to that last one is to give yourself a time limit. Every single time that you go to the grocery store, tell yourself, I'm only going to be inside of this grocery store for 10 or 20 or 30 minutes, and just try to get out of there within that time limit. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of impulse buys come from just kind of wandering around the store. Once you've got everything that you need, you kind of start to see other foods and you start to think, I could really use that food. We're going to try and cut that out by giving you a time limit. So walk into the store and you have 10 minutes to get everything that you need and then get out. And you should even start implementing this even if you shop with other people. While they're still filling up their grocery shopping carts, just sit at the front of the store and wait for them. You can pull up your phone and watch your favorite video on frugal living tips with groceries. And if you're watching that video, scroll down and turn that like button blue. Okay, so I'm sure almost nobody is actually watching this from the front of a grocery store, but again, please turn that like button blue if you guys are enjoying so far. It does so much for my channel and helps this video get pushed to more and more people. But with that, let's jump straight back into the video with tip number 9, and this is actually one of my favorite tips for everybody out there if you're looking to save some money at the grocery store. Always go shopping at the exact same store. I'm sure there are people out there wondering how this tip helps you save money. How does joining the same store help you save money? But one of the best things that it does is it allows you to know where every single item that you need is located, which will help you if you are going to plan your grocery shopping trip out like tip number 1 was advising you to do. You're going to know exactly where everything is because you go to the same exact store. And at the same time, you're going to know exactly where to avoid. Don't go to the places that have impulse foods that you think you might be tempted to buy. So you'll know exactly where all of the foods that you need are located in your store. You can go in, grab those, and get out again as quickly as possible to avoid impulse buys, to avoid buying food that you just don't need. Tip number 10 is a little bit more immediately applicable and practical. Get the membership cards for whichever grocery store that you go to, especially if you always go to the exact same Safeway or Target or Walmart or whatever it may be. If they offer a membership card that'll give you some deals on some of the items that you buy, you should do it. Even if it costs you a little bit of money right now, it will save you money in the long run because you're going to be shopping there so frequently that you will get some deals through that membership card, and that'll make the card worth it. So again, that's the point of this video. It'll save you money to get a membership card, so look into it. And once you've got that membership card in your pocket, you can now follow tip number 11, which is to always buy into sales. Now this tip is related to very specific situations. When you have a list of items that you know you need to buy at the grocery store, if you ever see that one of those items is on sale, you should buy as many of that item as you possibly can. This is especially true if, like me or like most people, you shop like once a week or once a month. Anytime that one of those items that you know you're gonna buy multiple times over the next couple months, you should always just buy it if it's on sale. You have no idea how long that sale is going to last, so take advantage of it while it's there. And it should be fairly obvious, but this only really applies to the non-perishable foods that I talked about earlier. You do not want to buy 20 packs of like carrots when you know they're gonna go bad in a few weeks, but you can always buy like 30 boxes of oatmeal because they're on a really good deal and you know you would have had to buy oatmeal once a week for the next 30 weeks, but instead buy them all on sale. And I'll follow up on that tip with my absolute favorite tip. This is the best and I think most practical tip for everybody out there. Buy your food in bulk. Yes, it's a little more expensive to buy the 25-pound bag of rice instead of the 10-pound bag of rice, but I guarantee you in the long run, it'll save you money overall, and that's what we're trying to go for here. So shop at Costco, buy things in bulk. I guarantee you that'll save you a lot of money. I'm sure that was the least surprising tip on this entire list, but we're going to move on to one that might be a little surprising. I am actually going to advise everybody out there, if you're trying to save money, trying to be frugal at the grocery store, don't go shopping with impulse buyers. When you shop with people who constantly impulse buy things, what you might find is that you're just surrounded by these unhealthy financial habits. And if you're trying to avoid that, just don't go shopping with those people. If you go shopping with them and you're in the grocery store, just split off and do your shopping on your own and then meet them back at the front of the store. It's just the best way to avoid those unhealthy financial habits that they're practicing. And again, this tip is only for people who are really looking to save some money. I would never tell you to avoid spending time with your friends or your family, but if you are trying to save money and the people around you are constantly impulse buying or spending money on things that they don't need, just don't go shopping with them. You'll save some money by avoiding those unhealthy habits. And on the flip side, my 14th tip is to actually shop with other frugal people. I can only imagine how healthy it would be to go shopping with a bunch of people who share your frugal mentality. What you'll find is that all of you kind of push each other to be as frugal as possible. And again, if you're trying to save money, there's almost nothing better that you could do. And it just warms my heart to think of a little group of frugal people grocery shopping all at the same time. That'd be awesome. And the 15th and final tip of today's video is going to be to keep in mind your long-term financial goals every time that you go to the grocery store. Remember what you're trying to accomplish financially in the next few months or a couple of years. If you're trying to pay off all of your student loans, think about how much better off you'll be if you just avoid impulse buys at the grocery store and just think about that. Use that as motivation every single time that you go shopping. And I'm sure you're probably questioning if this is actually even practical, going to the grocery store and every time that you're buying something, thinking about your long-term goals. But it's just a really good way to get in the right mindset to be frugal, to start saving money so that you are feeling as though you're accomplishing this goal and getting that one step closer to achieving whatever your financial goal may be. And hopefully all 15 of these tips can actually help you get that one step closer to achieving whatever your financial goals may be. But that just about wraps up this video, you guys. I hope that you were able to learn something. And if you did, please comment down below. And as well, I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know other frugal living tips when it comes to grocery store. How do you guys avoid spending more money at grocery stores when you're buying food? And if you did enjoy the video, and especially if you learned something new today, please turn that like button blue. It will help this video get pushed to more and more people, which helps my channel, but also helps other people save money on their food bill. So please, if you did learn something new and enjoy this video, turn that like button blue. And don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos exactly like this one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you don't want to miss a single one of those uploads, the best thing that you can do is subscribe right now, right below this video. But with that, as always, I hope you guys are having an amazingly frugal day, and I will see you all again next time.